this tutorial that I'm going to share with you is the workflow from animation in iClone to Maya via the advanced skeleton rig. So while we didn't use it for the project, some of you might find this useful. The tutorial is going to pick up from the point where animation is already applied to the character in iClone, and we'll go from there.
We would then go and we would export to FBX. We need the Maya motion pipeline. And we need also to make sure that we are deleting hidden faces. And we want to reset bone scale. We got to turn those on. We have to do a double export. First, we'll get a T-pose. So we export. So I'll just call that T-pose. T-pose. And then I do a second time with the animation. Maya motion pipeline, range, go ahead and export. And then that will be just the dance. Cool. Then back in Maya, we go ahead and we are going to import an FBX. I like to turn on clashing nodes just so that it doesn't rename the file. iClone test. There we go. T-pose, bring in the T-pose. Cool. And if we go to texture mode, the ACES is kind of dark, so not the best way to do that, but I just change it. So then the next thing is we need to we want to define the skeleton. Okay, so advanced skeleton, do I have that on my custom shelf? I do. Go to the
Tools name matcher.
Tools name matcher, there we go. Okay, so see, I got both of them. I think I did this before and I just chose the new one, character creator 3. And then we go down to function, we'll just see.
Yeah.
Create, place, and fit, I think that's what we said. Oh, cool, we did have
nice.
Equal. All right, go ahead and build it. Okay, so far so good.
I noticed the pull vectors for the knees are crisscrossed.
Yeah. See, this is where
things start to go off the rails.
Let's just see if we try one of these things.
Okay.
Let's see, that might be okay. We just kind of put like you said, the pull vector.
You could always like refreeze it at a new 0, but
as long as that kind of works,
yeah.
Then that's good. We have the advanced skeleton rigged, and now we need to bring in the animation. The easiest way I found to do this, and we can probably figure that out later if there's another one, going back to the animation that we exported, which is this dance test.fbx. Okay, cool. All right, so this was the version of the model where the model dances. We only need the mocap, which is just the skeleton. So in this case, I'm gonna go ahead and just delete everything. And I will go ahead and file, optimize scene size, just to get rid of all that extra stuff. And then I'm gonna go ahead and file, save scene as. I'm just gonna save this to my desktop for now. I'll call this mocap. Great. Oh, so the one thing is with the mocap is the first frame needs to be T-pose. We're gonna have to do that. It would be easier to do the T-pose in iClone. We'll have to put that as part of our process. We don't have that. So for now, I will do it here. I've got auto key, which in this case will be easier. And I'll just start to straighten things out. It's easier to do it this way to straighten them out, I find, just because you don't know what the rotations are. But here, let me just go through real quick. Great. And now your character is zeroed out on T-pose first frame. Awesome. Go ahead and save that. Going back to the advanced skeleton rig, we need to bring in our mocap data. Usually I don't like namespaces if I don't need to. In this case, we do need the namespace. So If you had it at clashing nodes like this before, just change it to use namespaces. Import in the mocap. That's what I'm using that because that's the namespace. And it needs the namespace because it has the exact same rig as our previous rig. It looks like I've got one mistake here. This could in fact be zeroed out. So they're facing the same. Okay, so next thing is we need to open up Advanced Skeleton, which I have just done. For this, we are going to need to click the selector. And then as part of the animation dropdown, we click mocap matcher. And by default, it's motion builder and all these other things that you will not see this iClone template. I made it, so I will give it to you. And then you'll be able to click iClone. That template will get saved into your scripts, Advanced Skeleton 5, Advanced Skeleton 5 files, mocap matchers. It's just this text file. And that text file will automatically handle the naming for you. Right, then you just scroll down here and you click on your skeleton, detect the namespace, which is mocap. After that, you can skip to set all rig to FK. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then connect mocap skeleton, right? Okay, so we connect that. We can see that it is loading on the bottom. And then we'll be able to check our animation in a second. Okay, looks like it is done. And let's see if our animation is set up. Looks like it is. Let's go ahead and hit play. There we go. Our animation is set up. We've got the transfer. Cool. And assuming that looks good, we're going to go and we'll click on bake. And then that will bake the mocap to the advanced skeleton rig, and we won't have to have a double skeleton. Cool beans. And then in which case we do not, and I believe we don't need this extra skeleton because we already have that baked and we test it and that is in fact the case. And so now we can make adjustments just using the advanced skeleton controllers. So another really cool tool you should be aware of is inside of this picker. If you go to animate, bake, you can convert from FK to IK. It's a little bit easier to animate in IK compared to FK. And I've actually sped this up by 20 times. The baking process is really long. So don't do this unless you actually have a benefit. But here you can kind of see that we're baking the left leg from FK to IK. And then I've trimmed this parts out, but I've done both of the feet and I've done the hands. And then now, because that's been done, if we go to a certain spot in the animation, if we were to want to adjust the foot, it's just a lot easier to be able to adjust it in IK compared to FK. Usually we would then modify with animation layers here on the right panel, but one option that we have now is going to the graph editor. We can clean up keys there as well. We can delete all this stuff on the bottom. It's not being used. But one of the really great tools now is this key reducer tool, and you can select a certain spot. And I found that a value of 10 is pretty good. And you'll notice that it keeps the tangents versus the old simplify keys did not. And there's also this peak removal filter, which gets rid of those one frame spikes, which are usually animation aberrations. So both of those are really helpful. And one thing I missed before is there's actually a character creator 4 template and the option to create blend shapes, which is not a full face rig, but it just kind of gives these little buttons on the side where you can go ahead and have more access to the blend shapes. And that way you can kind of move around the data there.
Thanks so much for watching that tutorial. I hope it was helpful for you. And if you'd like to find out more about the project Love is a Championship, just watch these other videos that we have here on the channel. I